Hi, yep.
Dan,
You have
how
good
are we?
taste.
7:01.
Are we live?
Not yet.
Dan? We're good? Just started.
Oh, you mean one?
Meeting call to order, roll call please.
Mr. Albrow,
Present.
Ms. Dawn,
Present.
Ms. Kaminsky,
Present.
Ms. McSweeney,
Here.
Ms. O'Grady,
Here.
Ms. Ryan,
Here.
Mr. Steele,
Here.
Vice President Gomez,
Here.
President Andrews.
Here. All rise for the pledge salute please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In accordance with the provisions of the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law, the Milford Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted in the Borough Hall and the Milford Public Library. Notices have been sent to the Record and the Twin Borough News. The board announces that under its long-standing policy, it will not discuss in public any comments made by members of the public concerning individual staff members. At this time, please be advised, all cell phones and electronic devices are to be turned off. Meetings of the board are open to the public, and all members of the community should feel free to participate. Before coming to the board, the chain of command should be followed. There are two portions of the meeting reserved for comments from the public. The first at the beginning of the meeting for agenda items only, and the second at the end of the meeting for other items. Issues raised by the public may or may not be responded to by the board, but all comments will be considered. The board requests that all members of the public be mindful of the rights of other individuals when speaking. Due to confidentiality and legal rights afforded by the state of New Jersey, members of the public are asked not to speak negatively or in a derogatory manner about any employee of the board or any student. I seek a motion to open to the public for items on the agenda. Motion by Heather Gomez, seconded by Joseph Steele. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 9-0. As outlined in the Milford Board of Education Bylaw 0167, each statement made by a participant shall be limited to 2 minutes. Does one of the two people in our public here right now have a comment?
Good.
All right.
Faithful
Faithful,
followers.
yes. Faithful followers. Councilman Seymour and everyone, thank you.
Don't call her Tammy.
Thank you, yes,
I was
Tammy.
Yeah.
Not Tammy.
No.
Stephanie. Stephanie.
Stephanie.
Yes.
I want to say Mrs. Stephanie.
Mrs. Stephanie, no, just Stephanie.
All right. No, the two
No.
people?
Okay.
No comments? All right, thank you. In that case, I seek a motion to close to the public. Motion by Paige Ryan, seconded by Nicole Dunn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Superintendent of School Reports, Danielle Shanley.
Okay. So I have a few things to report to you tonight, some regular business that I will seek approval for at our meeting next week, which is a week from today. So remember, we had to reschedule last week's, so we're going 2 weeks back to back. The first one is the suspension report. We had one at the high school, one out-of-school suspension in the month of October. I'm sorry. 2 students out-of-school suspension in the month of October, same incident. Okay. At the middle school, we had 2 out-of-school suspensions for fighting and inappropriate conduct, and 4 in-school suspensions. So that I will ask you to approve the next meeting. I'm going to be reporting HIB reports out to you by case number, because we're currently not doing that, and I think that's a good practice, so that in the event there's ever an appeal we're looking at it by case number. So, David E. Owens, this case is 223360 at David E. Owens. And this is not confirmed for all three alleged aggressors. 223360. I apologize. That's the same case.
Yeah.
223090, David E. Owens. This is a confirmed case, grade 7. 222730, David E. Owens. This is a confirmed case. 3 aggressors, 2 were confirmed. And this is 223090, David E. Owens. Confirmed. 1 aggressor. Now, as you can see, the middle school students are learning. They're learning. And I know that Mr. Dalala has been in communication with Ms. Zacher, who is our district HIB coordinator, to provide some workshops at the middle school, keeping in mind that our middle school students, the last time they were in school, were elementary students, and there's a transition, and they're learning. Some of them may have cell phones in school for the very first time, maybe not managing it well. Some of them may feel a newfound sense of freedom since they're not working on the computers and not necessarily behaving as they should. So our job is to educate them and to guide them and to hold them accountable. But we are working on that, so we understand that that's a lot of activity at the middle school. And so we are definitely trying to be proactive in getting our programming for the students. Okay. All right. I just want to, you will also see on the agenda, probably under facilities, a partnership that we're going to begin again with Bergen Pack to have young children's educational art programming held in our auditorium. The dates are on the agenda. This is something we have done with them before. And these are traveling theater groups, usually very small casts. And the students, it's an opportunity for the students to experience theater. I am offering another coffee with the superintendent tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. The link is on the district website. It's also in my last letter home to parents. And I've also posted it on the district Facebook page, the link. And if you are not already following us on the new district Facebook page, the title of our page is New Milford Public Schools. And the little thumbnail is our knight who runs all over the football field. So then you'll know that you are on the right page if you see the little knight, our mascot, in the thumbnail. I hope you follow us on Facebook, and I hope you share our page with other parents that you communicate with so that we can push out good information. Next week at our meeting, Mr. Dalala and students from the middle school will present to us the good things that are happening at the middle school. And just a reminder, 1 week from today is our meeting. So I'd just like to acknowledge the local election results. And I want to congratulate Mrs. Calderon, Mr. Petrolia, and Mr. Luna on their election. And I welcome them to the team, and I look forward to their contributions here on the board. But I'd personally like to take a few minutes to thank Mr. Steele, Mrs. O'Grady, and Mrs. Kaminsky for their selfless commitments to this Board of Education for many, many years collectively. Mrs. Kaminsky, who's only been with the board in an official capacity the past few months, but who has been a dedicated member of our school community always, from the superintendent's parent group, to your work as a PTO member and leader, to a supporter, cheerleader, hamburger flipper, sidelining at the game. You are a wonderful contributor, a caring and thoughtful board trustee, and I thank you for your partnership and your friendship. To Laura O'Grady, my English teacher buddy. You know, English teachers, we have a tribe, so Laura and I are part of that tribe. My curriculum committee chair for many, many years, an advocate for the academic development of the students, someone who gave tremendous thought and time to each item on the agendas, who asked meaningful questions, who did your homework. I thank you. You've been a wonderful friend to me over the years, and I will miss seeing you sitting here. And to Mr. Steele, you will, as I texted you, you will always be a master board member to me. And I hope that this board and its new membership can achieve individual master board membership, as you have, and that maybe we will see master board status as a full board again. But Joe, your work in advocacy as a member and leader of the legislative committee, your role as a delegate, and your commitment and follow-through must be publicly acknowledged. You represented us well. You worked to see that all students had opportunities, college-bound or otherwise. You supported the arts and athletics, and you advanced our creativity initiatives and the growth and innovation of the district for a long, long time. You showed up in good times and in bad, despite your most recent health challenges. You are a trooper and a dear friend to New Milford schools and to me, and my heartfelt thanks to you. I spoke with Peggy Saslow on the phone yesterday. So for those of you who know Peggy, you know that Peggy always tells it as it is. And she said, "You let them know how proud I am of them and all the work that they have done, especially Joe, because we know that you followed her in her delicate footsteps, and she just wanted me to extend her thanks and her best wishes to you. And for those of you who know Peggy, you know what that means. So this won't be the last of our partnerships, I'm sure, and we've been very lucky to have you all. And I think I can speak on behalf of everybody here with that sentiment. Okay, and that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Ms. Shanley. That brings us to Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction Report, Lauren O'Doxby.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Just a few things that I'd like to share with you this evening. Our very own Colleen Tambucio, a New Milford High School teacher, who is also president of the Council of Holocaust Educators, will be presenting at the 20th Annual Council of Holocaust Educators Conference, which will be held on December 7th and December 9th in the evening. Mrs. Tambucio will discuss their long-standing research into the ways young people have documented history, and they'll also highlight their newest project, Dispatches from Quarantine, which invites teens to record their experiences during the COVID-19 pandemic through writing, art, photography, and music. We were really excited to see that Mrs. Tambucio would be presenting at this conference, so we did extend the invitation to her colleagues, and I'm happy to share that we have 16 faculty members who will be attending in the evening in December, on both of those evenings in December to support her. My myself included, so I will be absent from the December 7th meeting. That is why. But we're all very excited and happy for her. Last week, I had the pleasure of visiting every classroom in our elementary schools, both Berkeley and Gibbs. And I just wanted to take a minute to share with you how truly impressed I was with everything that I saw. Kids and teachers working in small groups, kids talking around books, chatter, student writing hanging inside and outside of classrooms, anchor charts, math workshop groupings, classroom libraries, kids working on Chromebooks and Dreambox, smiles all around. I mean, the kids were just, and teachers, everybody just seemed so happy to be together and engaged in what they were doing. So it was really exciting, and I just want to extend my gratitude to all of our teachers and administrators for ensuring that this is a spectacular year for us all. I know it's a really meaningful one for the kids, and we always say that buy-in is half the battle, and you really can't get to the learning piece unless you have the buy-in, and the kids are really invested in the year. So it was really great. Kudos to all. I know we're going to be talking more about this, but we are currently working and kind of buried in the ARP ESSER grant. I know that the past year we've walked you through each of those pools of funding that have been provided as a result of COVID and the pandemic. So we're currently working on the third pot, which is called ARP ESSER. It's provided to districts to support the same allowable uses as ESSER 2 and CARES. In addition to the ARP ESSER funding, there are also subgrants, which include accelerated learning coaching and educator support, evidence-based summer learning and enrichment activities, evidence-based comprehensive beyond the school day activities, and NJTSS, which is New Jersey Tiered System of Supports, mental health support and staffing. So we're looking at some really creative ideas to continue the supports that we have in place for students as we move forward, which will take us through October of 2024. So I'm sure you'll hear more about that, but just very exciting. And a reminder that on Wednesday, November 17th, we will have our next session with Care Plus as part of our family series. The topic is harnessing the power of gratitude and self-care for parents. So you deserve to give yourself a present. It's a great time of the year with the holidays upon us and the hustle and bustle and everybody's busy schedules to take a little bit of a time out and learn some self-care strategies and remember all that we are grateful for. So please join us. A reminder, we'll be going out with a link for participation. And that concludes my report for this evening.
Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you. Business Administrator Report, Dr. Stephanie Pedro.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight I want to focus on some facility-related projects. We're seeking approval at next week's meeting. The first one is the last secure vestibule in the district. It's the board office entrance. All other entrances have been secured. This we would be seeking to do from capital reserve. And so I just want to remind everyone what capital reserve is and does and how you can deposit money in and how you can take money out. So funds in capital reserve account must be used to implement capital projects that are in the long-range facility plan, which is the LRFP. Withdrawals may not be used for current expenses. The board can deposit money into capital reserve by board resolution in June. It's the only time of the year that money can be deposited in. The only time the board can withdraw from capital reserve is through the budget process and by vote to include money in capital reserve by passing a successful budget that includes the withdrawal of capital funds. The withdrawal of capital funds must be appropriated in the annual budget, and the appropriation is outside of the calculation of the district's budget cap. So it does not have anything to do with the tax base of the next budget, and it's simply taking money that you've previously put in for capital projects and improvements that are identified in your long-range facility plan. So with that being said, the idea is to seek approval of the vestibule, have it sent to the Department of Education for review and approval, and then appropriate the funds out of capital reserve in a future budget. But because the department is delayed in approving projects, it's necessary to have this approval now so that we can plan accordingly to ensure the safety and security of all of our buildings. This, for those of you who don't know, this entrance is highly trafficked area because it receives packages for all of central office, including technology, which has grown exponentially over the year since we've gone one-to-one.
And the deliveries of direct access to the
Correct.
building
It
and the
also is an entrance that opens directly into a stairwell with direct access into the high school. So we just want to ensure the safety of everyone and make sure that we have a secure vestibule there. The second project, well, it's really 2 and 3, but I'm calling it 2 for some sanity, because we are receiving many students from early intervention into our special education preschool programs. We've reached capacity in one program specifically, the IBC, and we've run out of room. We recently put a trailer for one of the preschool classrooms at David E. Owens, and we still don't have enough space. So with that trailer, we still need 2 additional classrooms. So the idea is to convert 2 elementary school classrooms, one at Gibbs and one at Berkeley, into preschool classrooms. This would allow for students to be around their community peers, and specifically for the IBC program to follow the trend into the IBC program at Gibbs. So it would be transitioning into, if they remained in that program, transitioning into the program in kindergarten. That would be the conversion of showers, science showers, and eye wash at the elementary schools, and to be inclusive of a bathroom in the classroom. So those are the 2 resolutions that we have on the agenda. I think it's actually 3 because we split Berkeley and Gibbs into 2 different ones. And the third one is the secure vestibule. And then the last thing that I wanted to report on tonight is the DRTRS is completed. That's due on Monday, November 15th, so that will be submitted. And then our next big thing is aside from the ARP ESSER, is the finalization of the ASSA for our funding for the next year.
And the CUSAC DPR.
That too.
Any more acronyms?
No.
That's no. And that concludes my report for this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Kuchar. Okay, now we have items on the agenda for discussion. Review of the tentative agenda for the regular meeting to be held on November 16th, 2021. Review of board action. Any questions from board members? Review of education. Oh, sorry, I missed you there, Mrs. O'Grady.
Is that, I'm sorry, is that, I want to have something about the minutes from October 19th, is that on the right section?
Yeah, that's board action, right?
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
On the open to the public, the second session, there was, the first response to Mrs. Hutchinson. It says that Mrs. O'Grady replied, but it was Mrs. Shanley that replied. So just switch the name.
Yeah.
Thank you. Review of educational programs and curriculum.
Could I just say this? In the HIB report under board action, next week, you will see the individual case numbers. We will add those individual case numbers instead of just the report.
Okay, thank you. And Mrs. O'Grady, you have a question on review of educational programs and
I just
curriculum?
had a comment about C18. I just think it's great that we're seeing the list of field trips down longer and longer again. That's nice to see.
Bravo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Review of personnel recommendations? Yes.
In the matter of P33 and P39, are they replacing staff members that have left the district?
$39, yes. That was a resignation that we're replacing. 33, I'm going to defer to Dr. Kuchar, because that is a grounds person.
You're next after Dr. Kuchar.
Yes. That is a replacement of somebody who has previously resigned.
Yeah.
You may be asking because we did approve somebody else and they never showed up. So we have 3 grounds people, this will be the 3rd.
Okay,
There.
thank you. Mr. Steele?
P30, I'm sorry, eyes are going, P74, have we done anything on replacing the Mandarin program teacher?
This just came through to us.
Okay.
So we're posting, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Review of finance?
Yes, I guess it's a question for Stephanie, based on her presentation. So we're just, for next week, we're approving, even though we're not starting these projects, we just need to approve it now so that when we can get the funding, we'll start those projects.
For the vestibule, yes.
We
For
have the funding in capital.
Correct, we have the funding, but that would be appropriated in the next budget. That's just to get the process started and submitting the plans to the Department of Ed. For the classroom, the need is in January. So the idea would be to submit. We would probably need emergency approval from the county because of space. And so that would be happening,
First.
correct?
Perfect, thank you.
But we can't submit anything for approval without board approval first.
All right, review of facilities. I was going to, inform the board of what we discussed in the facilities meetings about these projects, but maybe I should, during committee reports, but maybe I should say that now in case there's questions. Okay, so the facilities committee did meet this week to talk about these projects. And focus us on the vestibule, the importance of the safety, because it is open directly into the high school, and it's the last of we've been slowly doing these safety projects, so we need to finish that up. But the classrooms, when children turn 3, they're eligible for the education. So we're getting more students, and the school is not informed of these things until it happens. So that's why we are finding out just now. It's not like we knew before. So when I say we, the school. But they're entitled to their education, and we need to educate them, so we need to get these classrooms made in order to be compliant with these students' needs. So that's really important. And the classrooms that are being converted, because it was concern of the board, nothing is being wasted. So everything that are in those classrooms are being, I don't want to say repurposed, but being relocated, repurposed into other areas of the schools and other schools as well, where everything is going to be used. So all of the equipment, everything that's in there is being used in other areas. So the children are still going to be using those things. Yes.
It might go back to finance, but it piggyback over for facilities. So with the creation of these 2 classrooms, we should anticipate eventually the staffing of the classrooms and possibly supplies of the classrooms.
Yes, we did talk about staffing. Stephanie, do you want to talk about that?
Sure, so for the 1 classroom that's gonna open in January, it will require a 1 FTE teacher and a 1 instructional assistant. The benefit to this, though, is that, yes, it's a cost to the district in paying a salary and benefits, but over time, we're maintaining the students in district, and once you send a student out of district, it's very difficult to get them back. They're out, I was talking to Dr. Perot earlier today, and it's a minimum of at least 2 years, and then you may have a chance in kindergarten, but if the family likes the program and the student's doing really well, it's very difficult. So this would be a cost for one student over multiple years, as opposed to maintaining them in district where we can support them as well as maintaining them around their peers and in their community.
And then
But
we,
if
I'm sorry.
No, I just wanted to speak to what you were saying earlier, is that the district doesn't know about them. Typically, the district only has 90 days. So they're notified, the meeting starts, and the clock starts. So it's a very, very short period of time that we have to figure out the placements.
And the other two pros to these classrooms that were discussed in the committee meeting is, one, by creating these 2 classrooms, we're not just making space for this one additional child coming in, that's opening up multiple spaces. So not projecting, but assuming we will be getting more students, we'll have multiple spaces for these students. And also, having one classroom in Gibbs and one classroom in Berkeley, these students can now be in their home schools, which was always something I think everyone wanted. It's good for the students, good for the families with siblings and all of that, yes.
Do we have any out-of-district seats in these classrooms?
We could. We could, because they will be small when they start. But we have to prioritize New Milford children first.
And these are New Milford
Yes,
that are coming in.
yes,
Oh,
yes.
So.
And
Did I miss
also-
anything else important that was discussed on that project?
Any
Yes.
other questions?
Mrs.
I just
Knapp?
have a question, I don't know, it's kind of based on the facilities. The other general classrooms, are they affected in size? Will they be larger because of the changes?
Oh, no.
I just wanted to.
As a matter of fact, we're splitting the student groups into smaller groups. So the other classrooms, no. Currently, the spaces are not designated as individual classrooms being used right now.
That's what I was gonna say, to clarify, because
Yeah.
it's not said here, and we've kind of talked around it. It's the science rooms in both
Mm-hmm.
of those buildings. So currently, there's no classroom in the building.
Right.
Which is why the conversation was around what would happen with what's in the room. And I don't want to speak for, so if you want to add to this, but one of the questions that we were asking was, okay, what happens with all of that? There was a huge plan around getting these rooms, the PTO supporting them. But what is clear, based on what was discussed in the meeting, is that, back then, that was what was happening, right? We wanted to build science, and you had a room, and all of the students would come into that room, and they'd have a science lab. The fact is that now the curriculum, it brings science into the classroom, not just during science. They're doing it every day. They're doing hands-on. They're doing things, the kits are in the room. So to schedule time to go into the science lab is actually difficult because all of the classes have to make time. Then that's what you're saying is they're only going to do science then, and they're not. And they can do things within the room. So understanding all of that the use of the room or the need for the room has changed. And so repurposing the room for this is good. Also, to make it a little bit clearer to some who don't realize, this is not, we have 27 kids and now we need to split it. This is for students with special needs, whether it is through the Over the Moon or the IBC, I'm not sure yet. But, so these are small groups. So the group went to 13, that's too many. Now you have to expand. So expanding it into 2 makes it a room of 6 and a room of 7, which now gives you room if they do get another 3-year-old that needs early intervention,
We have
come
space.
in January, now there's not worry that you don't have room for that student anymore. But you don't know if you're gonna have another 3-year-old in January, until January.
Right.
So, and that's always been the problem. And it seems like our students with this early intervention is growing, that population is growing. And so, as a board member, one of the things I feel like is that now that we're doing that, our whole goal is to get these students out of that, right? And you want them with their peers, so that when they're out of that, it's just a natural transition.
In their
So-
home schools.
Exactly, so I think, so repurposing those rooms to make them so that they can work as these classrooms in the building where they are and making it that way, and knowing that the science curriculum is where it is. I was part of when all of that was happening, but if this can be repurposed at the high school and the middle school and in other classrooms, then that's not wasted, and we can't just say we have to keep science in that room. We need to think, we need to grow, and I
So-
totally understood
Paige,
that.
thank you for that. And
Thank
Mrs.
you.
Kaminsky, I'm really glad you asked that question because a lot of people watching might have thought that these are
That's why I
regular
brought that up.
classrooms and classroom sizes are gonna get bigger. That is
No,
not
no,
the
no, no.
case at all. These are multi-purpose rooms, so it will not affect the regular ed students. And the board's big concern was the science equipment in those rooms, but the rooms themselves are walls and paint. Everything in the rooms are gonna be distributed throughout the buildings and still used. So,
And we
That's
have
a
the
good
plumbing in there for the bathroom.
And we're still not at a point where now, oh, okay, we're relaxed because we still need that extra space
We
and we
still
still
do.
have that trailer.
We still need the trailer.
Because we still need it. So now this, we
We've got
don't
many
need another one.
students. Yep.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
I have one more question,
Uh-huh.
sorry. In Gibbs, the kiddos would use the faculty rooms, the bathroom?
No, there's plumbing in the room
I
already.
understand, no, I understand that.
Yeah.
So they will start to use that one and not necessarily use the faculty one that they use by the library? Because there's one that they use often.
I am unaware of that.
I didn't know.
I don't know about kids using a faculty bathroom. We can talk about that separately. This room will have a bathroom in it.
Perfect.
It's pre-K.
It's pre-K.
Both rooms,
Okay.
Berkeley and Gibbs, will have bathrooms in them.
Yes. But Gibbs is the first phase.
Perfect.
Okay. Any other questions on that? All right. Review of athletic co-curricula. Review of policy.
Wait, does Nicole
When we say
report out?
review, you mean the committee?
Sure. Yeah,
Oh,
but, I mean, we're getting all mixed up, we might as well do committee
Yeah, I'm
reports at the
confused.
same time, right? Did you guys meet?
Yeah.
Okay, so then Nicole, why don't you fill us in? I know, I was unsure to do the committee or,
Oh, I see it here, okay,
Reviews.
so never mind.
Okay.
okay.
We met last week, and when we met with Mr. Rigadelli, we just discussed the fall season, how things went, and, based on what he reported to us, we did really well with the COVID issues compared to a lot of other districts. That was one of the things that we brought up. One of the things that I did want to report from him was that, he talked about how all the programs, did well, considering we were back in the swing of things. Last year, it was, completely a whirlwind, right? But for tennis, does this person know?
Mhm.
Okay. Coach Oliverio was the coach of the year for the tennis team, so I thought that was nice to hear that. That's great, and she was voted by the other coaches in the Meadowlands League, so that was nice to hear. We discussed the winter programs, and that's going to be starting up. We talked about spectators, how we're going to, allow spectators in, fully masked. We discussed the spring softball training trip and how, I think it's a good program. They have the money there, and that, we said that it would be on the agenda today to talk about. Mr. Rigadelli is going to be starting up Coffee with the AD, and he mentioned having an athletic, like an AD council, where he's going to bring parents in to just get their feedback about the different sports programs through the different levels. So it was nice to hear what was going on with our students and the athletes.
It's good to hear.
And the AC4 is still under wraps, secret, but we'll share it with you before we ask you to vote on it. It's not public yet.
Oh, I know.
Oh, one other thing that I wanted to mention that I thought was important, and I went over it, was he also said that they created a mascot committee, which is really cool. 4 or 5 kids want to dress up as the knight, and it's just to go into the elementary schools and the middle schools to visit and get like the younger kids pumped up about sports and being involved in schools. So I thought that was neat.
That is fun. I wonder, will they attend, right now the mascot attends all high school games or just football games?
I think when they can, whatever they can
I think
do.
when they can get someone.
Well, they can get somebody to put the
That's a
costume on.
big bulky,
That's why they needed more people.
There's a whole, you can ask Tammy, there's a whole thing about getting on and off.
It's a long process.
See
There's
that?
only a
help
few
with
people,
that.
I know it, but only a few people do.
All right. That brings us to.
So I do have a question.
Okay.
So the field trip for the girls softball, since you said you discussed it, it'll be voted on, but we brought it up the last time. So is there anything to bring up for that, for us to know before we get to that? I mean, I know what it was, I didn't know. if it
Sure,
changed.
so, it's approximately 15 athletes, female athletes, and 3 adult coaches / chaperones. And there's a decent pot of money, over $6,000, I believe, that has been fundraised already to pay for most of the trip. There will still be fundraising that needs to be done, or some onus on the parent to supplement, the balance. We did ask whether or not parents would be allowed to attend, and I believe that in the past, parents were allowed to attend. However, they had to stay in a different hotel, and I think there was like a block of rooms for parents who, if they wanted to attend, could stay at a different hotel. We also talked about some of the provisions and guidelines for what parents can and can't do with their children, such as remove them from the group, which they cannot do. These are things that we have ironed out in the past. I was part of ironing some of these things out years back. And it really is for spring training. I mean, they get some great training in when it's still snow covered here. And it's a great team bonding experience, and it's like a post-COVID hallelujah. And so what Mr. Riccardelli was going to do is give me like a little spreadsheet, because they're not sure of the exact total cost yet. But I should have that before next meeting. And I'll share it with all of you beforehand.
Okay.
Perfect, thank you.
Sounds great for the athletes.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other questions for? That brings us to liaison board committee reports.
Well, the policy committee.
Policy.
Review of policy. Joe?
Got a
Yeah,
bunch
Joe.
of stuff.
Wait, but I'm sorry, oh yeah,
Policy.
again, why are we even gonna we should just take liaison board committee reports off.
Well, we're here.
Yeah,
Okay.
but then we won't.
Yeah,
have
then we won't have to
reports.
give reports, right?
So, go ahead, Joe.
I have a
Okay.
question about the agenda before you give your
Uh,
report.
As you notice,
Please,
next,
Joe, I'm sorry,
No, one
one
second, I
second.
just have a quick question before you give your report.
go ahead.
The first reading, school and facility names, I couldn't get the document.
Oh,
So it might, I don't know if it's a new document or whatever, but it was, like all the others I could see, but that one I couldn't see.
it is. So I'll check it. The
Okay.
link's not working. Okay.
Which one did you not
School
get?
facility
The
names,
school and facility names.
7250.
Okay.
So this way you're not getting a ton of emails?
Yes, we'll make sure we send it out.
Okay, that was it.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Thank you.
All right, Joe, you have a lot for us.
Well,
There's a
not
lot
a
of
lot.
policies.
As you notice on next week's agenda, we have a lot of policies that we've gone over. I believe next week we have about 36 that are on the agenda, give or take. Some are revised, some are new, some are obsolete, and it's a process to go through all of them. So you'll see that next week. Okay, with my being liaison to school boards, National School Boards wrote a letter. You may have gotten the email from Dr. Feinsod. And it was very poorly written, number one. It intimated that there might be some type of terrorism or repercussions to some of the legislation going on. Be that as it may, 15 states have gotten out of school boards. They have absolutely cut ties with national. That's significant. And even if one did, it would be significant. So stay tuned. I don't know what New Jersey's doing on this. That was the last I heard. Secondly, one workshop. How many of you tuned into workshop at all?
Not live, I've been working my way through the videos. Yes.
I did a lot.
Okay.
A lot.
It was pretty good. Last year they
Really
offered
good.
more. This year, and I brought that up the other night to a couple of people. They wanted to keep it as, basic as they could. They didn't want to go crazy. They improved the access. I had a much easier time.
Yeah.
I am not a tech person, and I was able to find where I wanted to go. So, I was asked, what did I think the pros and cons were, and that was one of them. All right. Let's see. We lost a tremendous advocate for education on Election Day. Steve Sweeney, state speak, head of the Senate, lost his election to someone who they wrote in the article spent $153 on the election, had no previous experience, but is what it is. We lost a big advocate, and hopefully whoever they pick to take his place as the head of the Senate will be a friend of education. Because I've personally spoken to the guy 3 times. He's very big on special ed. He has a special needs child at home, and so he's very, very involved. Workshop at Wayne. Okay. Last week, I took my wife to NJ Pack, to a concert. It was Yitzhak Perlman. If you don't know who he is, he's like the top violinist in the world. The opening act was a small stringed orchestra from Elizabeth Morrow in Englewood. And they sounded okay. Julia Berenstein's groups are head and shoulders above.
So should we like reach out to
I
Yitzhak?
have no, even though I'm not going to be around, I would love to help facilitate, our group opening for somebody. This was not an inexpensive little cover band. This was a biggie. The place was packed, and these kids are standing in the aisles playing. And our kids, head and shoulders above it. I'm a little prejudiced because my daughter was in a group, but we should do more of that, try and get our name out there in recognition of our program, since we have that relationship with Bergen Pack. We
I'm
should-
not sure if you saw, a little diversion, during the school board's conference, when our commissioner of education spoke,
yeah.
the opening before her was a fantastic orchestral piece, an original piece dedicated to a student. And it was spectacular. And if you haven't seen it, if you go to her keynote speech, it precedes her keynote speech, but it's on that same link.
Yeah.
You just have to go to her speech, and
Fabulous.
that was terrific, really. It was great.
Yeah, but we can equal any of them out there, and I think we should show what we've got. Okay. The delegate assembly is coming up in 2 weeks, and not to put any pressure on anybody personally, to go back to what Danielle was saying, you don't say no to Peggy. That's how I got involved in all this. You do not, So, but a lot of this work I started when I was still working. So although it was a little tough, giving up my Saturdays sometimes, sometimes with the night county meetings, but, I got to be, board leader by just going to all these little meetings, and that was before they did hybrid. So if somebody could step up, it would be great. Peggy put New Milford on the map, and all I did was continue it. So I'd like to see somebody have a New Milford voice at least the county level, if not the state. Okay? And let's see. I got an email about orientation for new board members, and we're replacing a third of the board. And school boards will come in and help. you know, teaching people exactly what's what, because the first couple of meetings, you're like a deer in the headlights
I've already-
until you really get a feel for things. So
I've
I
already
think it would be a good
spoken to
idea
Matt.
if we reached out,
Tanya set that up already.
yeah,
It's already
Yeah.
set up, Joe.
so, and that's all, folks.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Speaking of Joe's Delegate Assembly, I know Heather and I already signed up, and Paige and Nicole and Laura for the, as non-voting members. It's virtual this year, so makes it a lot more convenient. I'm interested, I'm very intrigued. I haven't attended one yet. And as well as the sessions, we can make our way through. Some of them are really interesting, so we'll try to do that. All right. Do we have any other?
I have a question.
Oh, okay.
Our comment, is there just for, our board and for the audience, could somebody just give an overview of our relationship with school board and how we intermingle and what their relationship is and how this all works? And, what certain expectations are?
It's my understanding that Tanya has arranged for Matt Lee, who is
Good.
our representative, to come in and host a training for new board members. And we always revisit the ethics statement at the reorganization or organization meeting for review. And so that is, we have a rep, and our rep guides us, and then we have our attorney, who could also guide individual members if need be, or answer any questions that maybe we can't answer. And so we will follow that. Is that?
Well, basically what the relationship is between our body and their body. I think it's important for everybody to know
Sure.
the why.
So that we're, members of the New Jersey School Boards Association, and they are our guiding body. I wouldn't say governing, but, yes, governing if you get yourself in trouble, but essentially the guiding body. They consist of former superintendents, former boards of education trustees, people with experience who've now left the board and now want to serve in a different capacity. So Matt Lee, for example, I believe it was Pequannock, who was a board president for many, many years in Pequannock and a trustee who now works with areas in our county. Most of Bergen County uses Matt Lee, and he does trainings for us. He provides he does our annual retreat every year. If we ask him to come in and provide workshops on a whole host of board functions, he can do that. He's great, and he works with the board, and he speaks from both his own personal experience, his training he's received from New Jersey school boards, and he will help all of you. You can email him to ask questions. He will guide you in the right direction. Sometimes he helps me, and he comes in a few times a year, but he's always available. When the superintendents meet in the county, Matt Lee is present to share, and we all work together, the county, New Jersey school boards, the state, and individual boards.
So can I
If I
add to
can-
that?
Yeah, please.
So, and also the New Jersey school boards, they want to ensure that the school boards throughout New Jersey, the county, are effective. So they really, they provide a lot of training. And it's also, it is, some of it is required, some of it is optional, although highly encouraged, because in order to become an effective school board, you need to have this training. I think I've been on the board 5 or so years, and from when I first started to now, I am still learning things that I didn't know. We're in a way forever learners in this board. And it is time consuming, but that's a role we take on as board members when we decide to join the board. The trainings are done at different times. They have county meetings that you've heard Joe speak about many times. They used to always be in person only, then they were virtual, now they're doing a little bit of both. We'll see what happens.
They're great.
Yeah, but those I really find the best. They always have different topics. really informative, really educational. Sometimes they brought in legislators, almost panel style for discussions. And we learn a lot to, do our job as board members more effectively. Did you want to add to that page?
Yeah, they're an advocacy board, an advocacy arm. So for this delegate assembly and the things that happen, what will happen is, for instance, if it is the calculations for how aid is given, the aid calculation or how that works a few years ago, they advocate to the state board of Department of Education and the Senate, wherever it needs to be, and they will go in and they will speak for their member boards. So being a member of the New Jersey School Boards allows you to be a part of a larger group. The North Jersey, or Bergen County especially, but in North Jersey we have huge, because we're more densely populated, so we have a lot more schools in this area. And so if we participate, then we have a voice. And the more we participate, the more we have a voice in the things that we want to see done. If we're doing it on our own, we're just one school district. If we do it as a group, we're many. So school boards definitely does that, and they, as Tanya said, the training that they provide for us to understand that advocacy, for us to understand all of the laws that are being passed or the things that are being presented in at the state level, so that we understand the impact to education, but also so we can advocate. That is, as Tanya said, this last meeting, it was amazing. All that is out there, all the bills and all of the proposals that are out there right now, some ready for the governor to sign, that will benefit schools. And if we think it won't, they will advocate against that and assist in that way.
And they have.
And they have. And the other is that, as you mentioned, the board ethics. So board ethics isn't something that we choose. It's not something we here in New Milford say, well, these are our ethics and this is what we choose. There is a state body that will, that if, let's say, for instance, you seem to be in violation of those ethics, you go before that board. This is not New Milford thing. This is a state board. And ethics violations, someone can be removed. Some things can happen within the district. The board can come under scrutiny. So there are a lot of things there as well. Also, all the training around finance and understanding budgets and understanding negotiations and understanding all of the functions that you have as a board member. So like everyone was saying, it's a huge benefit to have that relationship, but even more so to have that relationship where New Milford is known is enormous, because you want a seat at the table, which you do have as a member of the school boards, right?
We have a voting
But
seat
you
at the
have,
Delegate Assembly.
right, and we have a voting seat at
every
the
school
delegate
district
assembly.
has
You have a voting seat at the delegate assembly, but even more so, those districts that are more engaged and have that liaison and have that contact and have that ongoing, grow better. They grow stronger, because we have that closer link and we have that understanding and that, so that relationship, and I think that's kind of what you were saying, is that is critical to a district running well. We hear stories of other districts that don't run that way. They're members of New Jersey school boards, but they don't really attend delegate assembly regularly, so they don't have someone representing them, or they don't go to the county meetings, or not everyone gets the training on time as they're supposed to. The CUSAC, in CUSAC, it is actually, our training is a part of that CUSAC. And if we are not trained, and if everybody doesn't have it, it goes against the district. So all of those things, there are districts that just don't do it. They have a different concept as to what the role of a board is, and the district suffers for it. So that's the key to it, is really understanding, because when you're put into this position, the expectation is that you take your time to educate yourself. All the tools are there, all the resources are there, trainings are there, workshop is there, delegate assembly is there, like Tanya said, but it is our responsibility to get that training. Because without it, we're just sitting here writing things and not really asking the right questions and getting the right things done.
And that's why that master board status is so special, because what it means is that each and every individual board member has earned master board member status, and therefore the board as a whole has a commitment to this goal, and we did achieve that. I'm trying to remember what year that was.
It was when I first got on.
Yeah.
And what happened, we get new board members and the time is not there for them to
For them to earn.
be able to earn that.
Earn their-
and they-
right.
So it's, that's been the
So it's
challenge.
really
But I
hard
think
work.
a lot of us here are certified,
Master
certified,
board members, certified
board
board
members.
members.
We're up there.
After delegate assembly, I should be.
Right, and after this delegate assembly,
Mhm.
hopefully I will be able to not be what Joe was, but the next step up,
Right,
you know, to be that,
yeah.
and so that's, I think, what we're all striving for.
And I think it's important too to know that Bergen County Superintendents Association has a great partnership with New Jersey School Boards. It's one of the reasons Matt comes to all of our meetings. We have a great partnership with our county superintendent. And as a result, when the county superintendents have an opportunity to share information, our Bergen County voice had a lot of influence during COVID, pressure regarding CUSAC, and a lot of other situations that came up where our voices were heard because of our size and our influence. This letter, for those of you who haven't read it, was the National School Board's letter to President Biden
Yeah, that's different.
regarding the behavior of the public towards school boards members and what kind of chaos this is creating at public meetings across America. And the National School Boards was basically asking the president to, engage Homeland Security and the United States Department of Justice and bring out the troops. And New Jersey school boards said, oh, no. We are not advocating. They didn't ask us for our voice in this. We are not advocating for that kind of behavior at the national level to interfere. And so this, like you were saying, an advocacy arm is very important to have.
Right, because they spoke on behalf of us, not, and I guess to clarify, that letter was not New Jersey.
No,
That
it's
letter was
national.
national. New Jersey said, we don't believe that is the.
That
level we
represents
need to go
us.
to."
Right.
Okay, Joe, you had a
A
question?
couple things to piggyback on what Danielle said. We have almost 75 towns, school districts in Bergen County. We are the most densely populated. It made me those of you who've gone to county meetings have seen that we don't have 75 towns there. But some nights, there was a significant amount of people for New Milford. We had almost every board member. And I was asked, what'd you do? Gunpoint, how'd you get these people there? So they just explained what we do. And, I was very proud every time we filled those tables. Bergen County has a voice. And if we go down to the DA, we have one vote. But if Bergen County has something in common, as Danielle said, where they all have an issue, we could sway almost anything in this state. We have a very, very powerful voice. And I hope you all, attend these meetings.
With great power comes great
So-
responsibility.
That's right.
Yes, excellent, Paige. And as Paige said, it's a board's members' responsibility to educate themselves. Nobody is twisting your arm or forcing the finger on the keyboard, but everything is there and available for a board member to do it. Speaking of which, I signed up for my required training. So any of you who are upcoming, and if you're like me and forgot which one you have to take, Dr. Kuchar is very happy to help you out with that. So just shoot her an email and make sure you do your required trainings as well. All right, do we have any other committee reports or liaison reports? I'm not gonna put anyone on the spot. Okay. Okay. Yeah? Okay, Councilman Seymour has a report.
Thank you. I thought you meant for members of the board.
Nope, I didn't want to put you on the spot.
But thank you. I'd like to again thank this board and this district for your amazing partnership and support for our third annual Domestic Violence Symposium. So far, we're only about 2 weeks post-event. We're fortunate that we've had over 1,500 views of the program. It's obviously terrible that there's a need to watch the program. But it's good if we've been able to reach as many people as we have and provide help and resources and information to assist those in need. And candidly, a significant factor in our success was this board and this district. Thank you again for your support and partnership. Knights Field is 95% complete. The sod has been laid down. As everyone here is aware, the lights were installed a long time ago, and we're looking at a spring rollout and use of the field. For those who are not aware, Knights Field is going to include a softball field that has been designed and built to state softball, high school softball regulations. It's also going to have a soccer practice field and an area of open space and a pavilion. And as previously mentioned, this field will be open to use by this district. If anyone has any further questions or requests pertaining to the field, we encourage you to contact Mayor Petrino directly and speak to him more directly about Knights Field. Coming up on Thursday, November 11th at 11 o'clock in the morning will be our Borough Veterans Day ceremony at Borough Hall. Again, that will be at 11 a.m. And at the end of November, on Sunday, November the 21st, with a rain date of Sunday, November the 28th, at approximately 6 p.m. at Barcastle Pond, which is behind Dorchester, will be our third annual ADAM event. For those unaware, ADAM is an acronym, which stands for Alcohol and Drug Awareness Memorial, and it's in memory of Adam Roth, New Milford resident and New Milford High School graduate who tragically was struck and killed by a car in 1994. Just as we've said from the beginning, there's unity in community. And as with the Domestic Violence Symposium, we encourage everyone in New Milford to come out to attend this important event and show that we are one New Milford. We are also asking if the high school music program has any interest in performing any music at the Adam event. We would certainly welcome that. That would be tremendous. And once again, we're going to be lighting candles. We're turning candles on and putting them in the pond, and it should be an incredible event. Michelle Roth, who is, of course, the mother of Adam, will be our guest speaker, as well as Lieutenant Nick, DeMoro, thank you, who once upon a time was Adam Roth's coach, will also be speaking. So again, we encourage everybody to come out to this event. On Sunday, December 5th, will be our holiday tree lighting and our winter wonderland, also at 6 p.m. back at Borough Hall. And we want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving season. And we hope everyone is well. We hope to see everybody at all of these events. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Seymour. Are there any additional board items? Old business? New business? At this time, I'd like to open to the public for items on the agenda. Not on the agenda, as outlined in the Milford Board of Education Bylaw 0167. Each statement made by a participant shall be limited to 2 minutes. Can I get a motion to open to the public? Motion by Heather Gomez, seconded by Nicole Dunn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 9-0. And we do have one additional public member, Mrs. LePage. Are 3 public? Okay. Then I'd like to get a motion to close to the public. Motion by Paige Ryan, seconded by Laura O'Grady. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Board member requests for additional information? At this time, we do need to go into closed for personnel. When we come out, we will not be taking any action. So you are welcome to hang around, but we're not taking action. So we are going to go into closed. Can I get a motion to go into closed? Motion by Joseph Steele, seconded by Judith McSweeney. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Dan, please let us know